clouds that you see in the distance as we speak now would soon turn into the night that would become one of the most spectacular nights of rail fanning. Welcome back to the Sunshine State Rails. It's a very overcast afternoon on Thursday, May 28th, 2020. And the northbound Amtrak Silver Star number 92 is coming down the hill, soon to come through Plant City, Florida. This train, since the COVID-19 virus is seeming to die down, has actually come back to normal length. In fact, this is almost the longest I've ever seen the Silver Star service. 6 coaches, a lounge, 2 sleepers, and a baggage. Rail fanning with me right now are my friends Dalton and Casey, so once Amtrak got by, we got to hang out at the platform for a little while.
You should really check out his YouTube and Instagram, and
you heard it here, folks.
And we're he rail fans. I don't know.
Yeah,
Kotabeaner.
Yeah, I'm
Kotabeaner. Get. No.
It's raining, by the way, and there's a broken crossing down there.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Man, I swear. You know, we wouldn't have to set up over here if it wasn't raining.
We have already seen this terrain, but here it is again. 92 heading back out with a more friendly engineer, this time Mr. S. By the time 7:40 p.m. rolled around, the rain had subsided just enough for us to be able to get out from under cover and set up at the Martin Luther King Railroad crossing as QO46 coming out of Tampa with mixed freight and intermodal containers and UPS traffic came around the corner heading north.
QO46, 28, engine 996 north of the...
Dalton would be our special guest tonight, so with 46 out of the way, we were off to Lakeland for the evening trains. First runner to pop up would be 0713, the daily local from Winston to Taft and back, usually dealing in rock, like tonight, a solid train of Florida rock hoppers. Also, just as an FYI, I was trying out a new setting on my camera and didn't realize that using it at night would cause the film to have a lot of grain on it. So until a certain point tonight, I apologize for any distracting grain that comes up on the screen. 713 zips his way into the night, and we zip our way to downtown Lakeland. Once the flashing EOT came over the hill, we knew it was time for our known 0711, the nightly boxcar local that heads to CSX's Park Spur and is destined for Saddle Creek Logistics and a number of other industries along that spur that all take boxcars. By now, at about 9 p.m., the rains were still slowly falling. Not for much longer, though, as we moved to Lakeland Junction. There were two trains in the picture here. Number 1, Q045, the combination of Q441 and the intermodal containers from the regular 045, bound for Tampa, and Q178, the nightly Winter Haven intermodal bound for Jacksonville. We knew from the timing and signal indications that the two trains would meet at 10th Street, but the timing on which those two trains would get there was far beyond what we expected. The southbound signal lit up on the Lakeland Junction signal bridge that you're staring at is for Q045. We had the lights and cameras facing south because we were expecting Q178 to arrive first, considering that we could hear his horn and the rumble from his GE locomotives. But in this panicked motion back to the north, 045 happened to get here first.
Nah, he's gonna get past right before 178 does.
And it would be this timing that would set us up for a very special treat.
4,400, segment 8,861.
No sooner than 045's engines cleared the overpass, 178 turned on his headlights. Q178 would be to me Q045 right at the junction, something that I have never seen before, a running meet at Lakeland Junction. This would be an absolutely perfect running meet, because 045 was already moving at a good pace, and by the time 178 got to the 10th Street switch, 045 would be long south of that, so neither train would be stopping tonight. Speaking of 045, look at what he's got tonight. Auto racks on the bottom end just before the intermodal cut. As with the COVID-19 virus slowly wearing off, the auto industry is soon to return. Auto racks are being pulled out of storage, and 045 has seemed to have at least a few auto racks on him for a little while now. We'll actually see more auto racks tonight too. Right about now during Q178 that I realized that this new setting wasn't doing my camera any good at night. So I turned the camera off for a second and turned the setting off as well. Now we've got some better nighttime composition. Of course, there's still going to be grain here and there because it's nighttime, but definitely better than what it was before, also a wider field of view. 178 got by, we were considering chasing 045 to Plant City for better lighting, but we decided not to because Q604 was leaving Winston. and I'm extra glad we didn't, because once 604 comes by, you'll see why this was a train to stay for.
Lakeland Junction on 0800.
As long as you're not blind, I'm sure you saw one of the reasons why this was a train to stay for. Duh, the Canadian Pacific GEVO in the 4th position. That in and of itself really made us happy because it was a surprise. We had no idea that was on this train. Also, though you couldn't really tell, one of CSX's new CM44 AHs, number 7001, was in the 2nd position, and the 3rd reason to stay for this train was what was on the bottom end. We'll get to that in a minute. And here's your 3rd kicker for Q60428, auto racks on the bottom end. These are more racks coming back after the COVID-19 virus. Up until now, this would have been almost impossible to see. Auto racks on Q604, as Q604 usually takes Bone Valley traffic back to Waycross. But technically these are Bone Valley traffic, because most of the auto racks stored in Florida during the epidemic were stored in the Bone Valley. So it's undoubted that once they took them out, it was easiest to put them on 604, like they are tonight. The CP GEVO on 604 was an ever-pleasant surprise, though I almost missed it because I had the radio in my ear as I was listening out for our next train, 0800. On this particular occasion, this 0800 is a last mileage run of CSX NO4026. A loaded coal train bound for Taft's OUC power plant, coming south loaded from Evansville, Indiana. The train was sitting in Stokes, and the dispatcher was going to let him loose once 604 passed him, so we had quite enough time to get to downtown Lakeland after getting some food items at a gas station nearby, before 0800 rounded the corner heading to the CFRC and Taft, Florida. Now, some may point out, and I was also one to object, that this may actually be a Lakeland coal train, considering the type of stainless steel looking cars that this train has. But after asking a few friends later in the night, I did find out that this was actually an Orlando coal train, just with these types of cars. Speaking of Lakeland coal trains though, if you know of any, absolutely any Lakeland coal trains that are running through here, be sure to catch it, because the Lakeland McIntosh power plant is shutting down completely in either 2022 or 2023. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's sometime fairly soon. Lakeland is almost never getting coal trains anymore as it is, so if you do hear any coal trains headed to Lakeland or even out of Lakeland, be sure to catch it if at all possible. Give it another 15 minutes and we got 0712, the Sebring turn.
right, so we're gonna make that clear that I probably narrated already and said this, but that was 0712, known as the Sebring turn. He, you know, goes to Sebring, drops cars for the USSC Railroad, also switches Auburndale and I think Westlake Wales. But for some reason tonight, you know, he had his, you know, GEs, but he also had center beams with railroad ties on them and a set of 5 intermodal wells. Considering the route he takes, I guess those wells are probably bound for the Winter Haven ILC. But yeah, that was pretty weird.
Our next train came roughly an hour later, Q60328, inbound mixed freight to Winston Yard from Waycross, Georgia. Be out here for roughly another half hour until the train we were waiting on tonight came through Lakeland. So what are we really out in Lakeland for at 2:53 a.m.? Q17728. This is the inbound version of Q178, Jacksonville to Winter Haven double stack containers. Y'all wouldn't know, but I've been trying to catch this train for a good long while now, I'd say at least a year, so to catch it with Dalton was really something special. So finally, at 3 o'clock a.m., our railfanning would conclude for tonight. And after getting just enough sleep at our hotel, which we booked just outside of Lakeland, we would be right back to the tracks the following morning. First train we saw was at Lakeland Junction when a signal caught our eye. 0710, which had departed Tampa a number of hours earlier to switch Lakeland customers, was heading to Winston Yard, passing here in the process. The crew and equipment off to the right are construction workers. They are bringing in a new piece of equipment to aid in the construction of McCall Park. You've probably seen a few videos of mine already discussing this new project, and there'll be more to come in the future as progress continues. We went back to Plant City because we heard of a train that was soon to leave Tampa, but we found some other action here. Some workers grinding the diamond flanges. I talked to a friend who specializes in track maintenance, and he told me that the likely reason this is the final steps of grinding the rail. Like the Loram rail grinder that comes through and grinds and reshapes the railhead with grinding stones, can't grind certain switches or interlockings. So the flange grinding of these interlockings must be manually done, like here. About another half hour went by before the maintenance people left, and the heat was getting bad today. Not long later though, 0709 came around the corner. The Plant City local headed to Plant City siding to switch a Maricold, and with this heat out today, golly, do I wish I could be a Maricold right now.
Something not seen too often anymore in 2020. It's just past 1 p.m. and we have a green signal for a northbound on the S-line. About this time, you could have expected this signal to be for the Tropicana juice train. Not anymore. It's rare to see a green signal on the S-line in Plant City in the middle of the day like this, because really the only thing that would make it go green at this time of day would be K trains, which is what we're getting right now.
That K train in question was K42228, empty ethanol out of Tampa bound for Bensonville, Illinois. This train itself had come in about 3 days ago as K421, and rather than sending it out as a 420, they're sending it out as a 422. Not sure why, but it obviously supports the economy or the railroad in some way. And off goes 422 back for Illinois. 2 more trains would bless this day before we'd head home. 0710 was next on the list, the one we caught over in Lakeland this morning, but after making his stop at Winston and picking up a bunch of stuff, he was massive now. Finally, to end our day, 0709 was making his daily shoving move onto the A-line to head back west toward Tampa, possibly switching 1 or 2 more industries before making it back to Yeoman.
Goodbye to Casey. He's heading off to Alabama next week. Or when are you heading off?
Yeah, next week.
Next week he's heading off. And he'll be catching trains in Irondale.
Yep.
So
NS.
we'll really miss him.
Yep.
When I say he's off to Alabama, that's permanent residency. My friend Casey is moving to Alabama, and he knows that everybody down here will miss him dearly. All the times we've had together here in Plant City have been awesome. We will all miss you, Casey. Otherwise, our time out here in Central Florida was absolutely amazing. We caught trains and moves that we would have never expected to catch before. Thanks so much to Dalton for coming along and making the night even better. This is an outing to remember for sure. I've realized now after editing this that the video is in fact 26 minutes long. So if you have watched the entire thing, wow, I really do owe you one because this is a really long video. But either way, I thank you for watching what you could or did, and I'll see you next time somewhere on the Sunshine State Rails. Actually, no you won't, because our next video is actually going to be our Ohio trip. We're heading to Ohio. Sometime fairly soon, we'll be heading up to Ohio to catch a bunch of trains elsewhere. So that video will come out eventually, and that one will be pretty long too. So enjoy! Anyways, I'll see you out there somewhere on the railroad tracks. This is Kotabeaner, and I'll see you later.